This past weekend, Saturday, May 11th, a small group of dedicated writers gathered in Stocker Center 211 to take part in a writing workshop. This band of poets were held captive by instructor Dave Schultz, who had much to say about poetry and how it is written.
To tell them in their poetry to be, to have the dark and the light in it, to have a little bit of sweet and a little bit of sour. That Frost quote, if it is with outer seriousness, it must be with inner humor, and if it is with inner humor, it must be with outer seriousness, that neither one alone without the other under it will do. And a lot of my poems are like that.
Speaking of good lines, I asked him about simple rhyming.
It's okay to have rhyme in your poem, like Hey Diddle Diddle, the Cat and the Fiddle. And it's okay to be depressed in your poetry too, but if you can put the Hey Diddle Diddle in with being depressed, then you've got the full mix of life, and not to have one overpower the other. I mean, not to be too giddy, but so dark that you want to, commit suicide after you hear a poem, and that a poem shouldn't be necessarily so obscure that no one understands it, that's cool, that it's the job of the poet to use words to communicate his feelings. It's not enough just to put down words that happen to pop into your head. There's a certain craft to it.
On the response of his students that day, he had this to say.
But we had a good group of 12 apostles, you can call them, about 12 or 13, and that was a nice group. And they seemed receptive, and a couple of them made the comment that this year's was a little different because the poet they had last year was a little more on the darker side, and they kind of enjoyed this, more of a lighter approach.
Overall, the workshop was a success.